Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us today for an F1 student visa webinar. My name is Omar Bashir, and I'm an Education USA advisor based in the Karachi office. So today's webinar will be recorded, and will be posted on our Education USA YouTube channel and Facebook page. So give us about a week, and it will be posted on our social media pages. Before we begin, I would like to introduce Education USA formally. Education USA in Pakistan is a part of the U.S. Department of State network of over 430 international student advising centers in more than 175 countries and territories. The network promotes U.S. higher education students around the world by offering accurate, comprehensive, and current information about opportunities to study at accredited post-secondary institutions in the United States. Education USA Pakistan is the official source of information on U.S. higher education and offers free advising services to Pakistani students who want to pursue their bachelor's, master's, or PhD in the United States. We also have an app now. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download it on your phones. Once you download the app, you can chat with the advisors during the regular business hours from Monday to Friday. You can also access the frequently asked questions, and you can also get access to our events and alerts that we occasionally have. So if you look at the US college application process, it could seem a bit daunting. However, Education USA Pakistan has broken down the US college application process into 5 simple steps. Education USA Pakistan advisors assist students in all 5 steps. No matter where you are on this horizontal trajectory on your screen, you can just reach out to one of us, and we will be more than happy to assist you. Today, we will be discussing about the 4th option, the 4th step, which is for applying for your student visa. And then once you have received your visa, Education USA Pakistan host pre-departure orientation, where we encourage students to attend that orientation, and you can learn what documents to take once you are preparing to depart to the US, and what type of immunizations are required, and different types of terms that are used in the US, which we are not aware in Pakistan. This is our link to sign up for free advising services. And down below, Karachi at Education USA is our email address. If you have any questions after this webinar, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. So once you click on the registration link, you can sign up for our services. Once you sign up, you will get an advisor assigned, and then you can email your advisor, and they can guide you further in the US college application process. So today, I would like to introduce you guys to Tanya from the U.S. Consulate Karachi. Tanya Romanoff is the non-immigrant visa chief at Consulate Karachi, at U.S. Consulate Karachi. She has worked on visa issues in Jakarta, Mumbai, and Washington, D.C. Tanya received an MBA from MIT Sloan School of Management and a bachelor's degree in international studies from American University. Tanya's daughters have recently graduated from Georgetown University and University of Vermont. Her son is a current student at University of Colorado. Thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Omar, and thank you to all of you who are attending today. I know as a mom of current college students, how stressful this situation can be. Hopefully, many of you have already applied to and received acceptance letters for some U.S. universities, and now you're at the stage where you need to figure out how to do the student visa. And that is my area of expertise, and I'm happy to explain it to you. It seems daunting, but you can all do this. But let's give you some information to make it a little more comfortable and hopefully more successful for you as well. Sorry, I just need the next slide. This doesn't seem to be moving. Okay, it did move now. Okay, so students are a top priority for the Department Department of State, our top priority for the U.S. economy in general, our educational institutions and our population benefit from having international students study at U.S. universities. And we do know that worldwide that the U.S. is one of the top destinations for international students. So over, 1 million students came to join U.S. universities last year. Um, and in fact, the number of Pakistani students is steadily increasing. More than 10,000 Pakistani students were studying last year in the US, which is about a 16% increase from the previous year. One of our top priorities around the world and here in Pakistan as well is to make sure that students have access to visa appointments. So that is our priority over the next few months to make sure people can get in and have their interview before it's time to head off to start your programs in the U.S. Okay. Now, I just want to tell you about a couple of changes that the U.S. Department of State has made so that applying for a student visa is a little bit easier. It used to be that you could only apply about 4 months before your program started. Now you can apply up to 365 days before your program starts in the U.S. So the message to you is as soon as you have that I-20 from the school you intend to go ahead and schedule your visa interview and just have that taken care of so you can rest and relax and get ready for starting your education program. Regardless, you can only go to the US 30 days before your program starts in the US. Sorry, I think our computer connection's a little slow and there we go. Here's the next slide. So the other change that we have made is that the I-20 form for our F and M students and the DS 2019s for our J students, we can now accept electronic versions. So that is just shorten that time period. So when your school has issued you an acceptance and you have accepted that, as soon as they process your documents, they can email that to you. So there's no more waiting for the I-20 to arrive before you schedule a visa interview. So again, that's another thing that allows us to sort of speed up the whole student visa interview and hopefully get you on your way sooner going out to school. Just please remember to print that form and bring that with you to the interview. Um, so I just mentioned a moment ago the different student visa classifications. So the vast majority of you on the call most likely are F1 students. That means a student in an academic or language program. That is anything from an associate's degree. It could be just an English language program for 6 months, all the way up to a PhD program. So that is the vast majority of our students are going to be applying for an F1 visa. You might also hear about an F2 visa, and that's if you're bringing a dependent with you. If you're bringing a spouse or a child, they would apply for an F2 visa. An M visa is a vocational student or other non-academic student. What we most commonly see here in Pakistan for M visas would be someone going to flight school, for example. That is not an academic program, it's a vocational program that would issue an M, which would require an M visa. And the I-20 form that you get from your school will let you know exactly which visa to apply for. And then the third type of student visa is a J visa. Um, we call those exchange visitors, and there's a wide variety of those. For example, it could be someone who is doing a PhD program here in Pakistan and is going for 1 semester to the US. So they're not enrolling full time in school, but they are studying at a university for a short time. Um, High school students are often J1s if they're on a special program. Again, the university will tell you if you need to apply for a J1 visa, and in that case, they'll send you a DS 2019 form instead of an I-20. Um, it's a small percentage of people will be applying for a J1 visa. And just like the F visas, the J2 is for a dependent if you're bringing a spouse or a child. Um, so I think the biggest reason why you want to attend this webinar today is to think about how do you actually apply for a visa. So step number one is to choose your school. Perhaps you have multiple schools that offered you acceptance and the opportunity to go study in the United States. Once you have decided which school you are going to attend, and you confirm to them that you're planning to attend their school, they will send you an I-20 form directly to you. And as I mentioned earlier, they'll most likely email that to you and will have an electronic signature from the school on that form. So at that point, you can go ahead and start the visa process and go ahead and print out a copy of that form since you'll need that for the interview. Um, so the first step will be to pay the SEVIS fee. The website for that is the fmjfee.com. And that you need your I-20 form or your DS 2019 if you're a J student. Um, and you will have the SEVIS number at the top of that form, and then you can pay the fee. And that's a separate fee that all students in the United States need to pay. It's a one-time fee. If you change schools, or for example, you go from your bachelor's to your master's, you can keep that same SEVIS number throughout and shouldn't need to pay another fee. And the next step is to prepare for your visa. So the DS 160 application is the visa application. That's going to ask you some items like, what's your name, what's your address, what's your passport number, and passport issuance and expiration date. Where did you go to school before? Are you working? What are your parents' names? And what other countries you visited in the past? So all of that information we need to make a decision on your visa application. And make sure when you complete that application that you state that you're applying for a student visa, because there might be a few different questions for a student visa application than a B1, B2, a tourist visa. The next step is to pay your visa fee, and I'll show you in a moment this website for US Travel Docs, which is the vendor that we work with that helps manage our appointment system, collect our fees, all of that for our applicants here in Pakistan. So that website will tell you how to pay your fee at an Ally Bank. Good news, soon we'll be accepting electronic funds transfer. So it might be even easier than walking to a bank with cash. You might be able to do that from your phone. So look for news on that. That's coming soon. And then once you've paid your fee, you'll need to wait till the next business day, but then you can go ahead and schedule an appointment. So that's on that same website, US Travel Docs. Once your payment is registered, then you'll be able to schedule an appointment. And like I mentioned earlier, we make sure there are plenty of student visa appointments available. And I have opened up a lot of them for the summer. So if as soon as you are ready, go ahead and book a date and time that works for you. And then the final step is to attend your interview. So this is the US Travel Docs website. So that's ustraveldocs.com/pk/en. If you just do ustraveldocs.com, you'll get to a landing page where you can just select Pakistan, and that'll bring you to this page too. And I just wanted you to show this just so that you can see this is what it should look like. This is the vendor that's managing our whole visa process, or the visa application process for us here in Pakistan, and they have a really nice little, step process down there at the bottom. So, um, those are the same steps I've just told you as well. To complete your application, that's filling the DS-160 online, paying your fee, scheduling your appointment, and then, the final step is tracking your passport, because that's also the group who will deliver your passport either to your home or residence, or you will go to pick it up at one of our locations around the country once your passport has a visa in it. And then so once you've created an account in US Travel Docs, this is a dashboard again, I just wanted you to be familiar with this. So once you log in and create an account, and you'll just need your email address to get started, but then you'll put in there as well your passport number, um, and you'll choose where you want your document to be delivered. So, for example, in this particular case, this person is a student, and their visa. Uh, Once their passport has a visa in it, will be delivered to Karachi. It confirms what the cost is for your visa. Here, this person had an appointment on March 15th at 9:30. um, and if you schedule an appointment, for example, and then realize you have an exam, or for some reason can't attend that appointment, up here in this blue box on the left side of the screen is where you can reschedule your appointment, or you can request an emergency appointment. Generally, we're not going to approve an emergency appointment for a student who is, going to school in, 2 months. If you're planning soon, hopefully you'll get your appointment in with plenty of time before you start your program. But if, for example, your program is starting in a few weeks and there are no appointments available, then you can request an emergency appointment, and we do our best to get all students in before their program starts. And then the student visa interview itself. So on that day, you will come to, in the case of Karachi, you'll come to the consulate, or perhaps you'll interview in Islamabad and you'll go to the embassy there. Um, just to give you a little background, what it's like on that day, the first step you will have is an interaction with our security team to make sure you have an appointment. You will need to go through security like you're, going in an airport, and they confirm that you have an appointment. And then when you come in to the actual interview area, you'll first of all meet one of our local staff, one of our Pakistani staff, who will verify everything in our computer system is accurate, that we've got your passport number right and we spelled your name right, and all of that. Make sure the photo meets our requirements, and then we'll collect your fingerprints. And then the final step is to meet myself or one of our other visa officers to have the visa interview. And, our student visa interviews are consistent worldwide. So all around the world, we have the same guidance on who qualifies for a student visa. So it's not going to be different if you go one place or another. And you are best off to interview in Pakistan, where the visa officers understand the realities of Pakistan and know this, the high schools, the places where you may have been and traveled. And I did want to point out, I mentioned earlier that expedited visa appointments may be available if the time is really short before your program starts. Um, and then also, you may not need to come in for an appointment for an interview at all. Usually that is, in the case of a student visa, is for someone who had a previous student visa. They might not need to come in for an interview. When you do register for your appointment in the system, it'll lead you through a few questions to determine whether or not you need to come in for an interview. And if you don't, it will give you the option to submit your documents through our interview waiver program. And at the interview itself, there are a few required documents. First of all is your passport. You must have your passport. It needs to be a valid passport. Um, we need a photo, and that photo needs to be 2 by 2 inches on a white background. That's the biggest mistake people usually make is they have a beautiful blue background. No, it needs to be a white background. No glasses, no hats. And if you are, a woman with a head covering, you can keep it on, but just push it back a little bit so that we can see your full face. All of those requirements for your photo are also on that US Travel Docs website, but those are the key points and where people most often make mistakes. Print out a copy of your DS-160 confirmation page. So that is the online visa application. Um, Bring a copy of your I-20 or your DS-2019 that the school has sent to you. Print that out, and then bring your receipts for your visa, for your visa fee, your MRV fee, and the SEVIS fee, in case there's any issues with those. Additional documentation that is not necessarily required, but often a good to have. Bring some proof of finances. I know you've showed that to your university already, but if the visa officer has questions, they may ask to see bank statements or other financial proof. They may ask to see transcripts from your high school or other university studies or your test scores. Again, those are not always required. Many times we won't look at them, but occasionally those are helpful to a visa interview. Okay. Um, and just to give you a little bit of insight in terms of our issuances and refusals, most students are issued a visa. I know you all hear the stories of the people who are not, but most are issued a visa. And there are two common refusals. I'm going to start with the 221G refusal or administrative processing. So some visa applicants there's some required additional processing because of our legal system that we need to do that additional processing. And depending on what type of processing it could be anywhere from 2 days to several months. We do prioritize the administrative processing for student visas. That's a lot of the work we're doing in the back office is running lists of students who we haven't been able to print their visa yet and working to close those loops so that we can print your visa and get you to your program on time. 214B is the refusal that says you don't meet the requirements for a student visa. So that means if you are welcome to apply again, but that officer has decided that you do not meet the requirements. So I thought I would take a few moments to talk about some of the visa myths. So, true or false? Is there a right or wrong answer at interviews? False. So each and every one of you is different. Your stories are unique. And what's important is to tell us about you and be honest. Question, can you get a visa to attend any size university? And that is definitely true. So we take people going to public colleges, private colleges, universities, small, large, anything is great. Uh, you are more likely to get a visa if you use a consultant. That is false. We know that some people use consultants to help them with all the paperwork, but they don't have any impact on how our decision-making process. And then are international students welcome in the United States? Absolutely. They're very valued members of our academic communities, and we continue to issue thousands of student visas every year. And then I wanted to leave you with a few resources. Maybe you want to snap a quick picture of some of these websites. So Omar already introduced Education USA, which has great resources. Travel.state.gov has information about all types of US visas, not just student visas. J1visa.state.gov is information specifically for the J1 visas. And then SEAC.state.gov, SEAC stat tracker is how you can track the status of your application once you've submitted. So the SEAC, we say SEAC, CEAC, is the same as the DS-160 form, the online visa application. So that's helpful after you've had your interview, just to see, have we printed your visa? So that's a useful website. Department of Homeland Security, that's who manages our SEVIS program, the student registration program. So they have a website called studyinthestates.dhs.gov. Then I do have one more page. Oh, okay. And then just some information, again, for visa information from Karachi, the US Travel Docs website is the main website, which can give you answers to all your questions and help lead you through that process. And then I've listed as well US Consulate's Facebook and Twitter handles. If you'd like to follow us, we do post visa information there as well. So those are all the resources that I wanted to share with you today. And then I think I'll turn it back over to Omar at this point.
Thank you so much, Tanya. It was very informative. We can now take students' questions. Guys, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to use the Q&A box and type in your question, and we will take them from there. Okay. So yes, the recording of this session will be posted on our YouTube channel and Facebook page in upcoming days. So one of the student is asking, is student loan a red flag for my visa interview?
No, a student loan is not a red flag. Again, we need to understand where that you have a plan to pay for your studies. And many Americans also use student loans. So that is realistic. As long as you understand, the loan, it's helpful to understand the loan terms and, idea and plan for how you plan to pay that back after your studies.
Thank you. There's a student who's asking a question. If a university scholarship covers the full cost of program, are we still supposed to show proof of finances?
No, you're lucky. Congratulations if you have a full scholarship for the program. Just make sure that it's covering both the tuition and the living expenses. Occasionally, a scholarship will be just for the tuition, but you still need to be able to pay for your rent and buy food and pay for books. So just in the I-20 form, there is a section that's sort of right in the middle of the form where on the left side it says the real cost of attending. So it has the living expenses and the tuition broken out. And then on the right, it will list what your scholarship is. So if that scholarship amount is the same as the full cost of attendance on the left, you will not need to show any other finances.
Thank you. How can we improve our profile while having previous refusals?
Well, I think it's helpful if you've applied for a visa before and didn't receive it, um, to explain what is different. Did you learn something from that situation? Do you have a new plan, or was there something you weren't able to talk about at the last interview that would make your situation different? Um, it's very hard to give guidance without having a specific situation, because I can't tell you how to make your profile better. Your goal is to convince the visa officer that you are intending to go and study in the United States. So like I said there, be you. be honest and tell your unique story. And if you can do that, you have a much better chance of getting the visa.
Thank you. So there is a student who applied for the F1 visa and their visa was approved. However, they have changed their university and got admitted to a different university. They're asking if it's necessary to fill out a new DS-160 form.
Have they already interviewed and received? If they've already interviewed and received a visa, then we don't need a new DS-160. I'm just not sure if you need a new visa with the new school. That I don't know the answer to. That might be a question to the new school, because that's a DHS question, or perhaps to go to that study in the USA website and ask that question or look for the answer there. Because from our perspective, someone has already approved you as a student to go to the United States and issued the visa. But then the next step is when you land in the US, the airport, when Customs and Border Control, immigration, sees your visa and you're going to a different school, there might be some confusion.
Thank you. Is there any dress code for visa interview?
Oh, no, no dress code. You might be waiting outside for a little bit because we have a very, very small waiting room here in Karachi, so dress comfortably. That's my only advice.
Thank you. So student sponsor is retired. Does that impact?
Um, if their intention, or if the question is asking about the financial sponsor, it, it's not necessarily an impact. Again, we're looking at the applicant's story, and does it make sense? Do we believe they're planning to study? And then is there a plan for how to pay for that?
Okay. So one of the student is asking, proving home country ties is extremely important. Can you please elaborate how to do that in the best way?
Well, that's something that that's really more relevant for a tourist or business visa, the proving home country ties. Students don't often have very strong ties because you're still students, you don't have a full-time job, most times you're not yet married or have children. So we're not looking for that strong home country ties. What we're looking more for is, are you a real student? Do you really intend to go to the United States and study? Um, and that's really what we're looking for in the visa interview.
Thank you. If you already have a B1, B2 visa, does that exempt you from an F1 interview?
No, it does not. To be honest, last year it did, but our interview waiver authorities changed at the end of this year. So yes, we do need to interview you again in person, um, but we already know you, and so it hopefully will help your interview go a little more smoothly.
Thank you. I believe the student is trying to ask, do we need to show residency proof once they land into the US as to where they're planning to live?
That again is not a question I can answer. The study in the US DHS website might have information about that because that's a Customs and Border Control, the immigration side of things.
Will having international travel history contribute to my visa application?
Um, it may. Uh, Again, we're looking at the whole picture of the student and their story about, why they're going to study in the U.S. So it's in your visa application. It is important to include that if you have traveled overseas, but that's not the sole information point that we're looking at.
Thank you. While we understand that we need to bring additional documents to prove our case, do we need to bring our language proficiency test scores with us?
No, you shouldn't need to bring those. I mean, we will interview in English if, assuming your I-20 says you are proficient in English.
Is there any age restriction to apply for an F1 visa?
No, no age restrictions.
Okay. Can be my financial sponsor be a US citizen?
Yes, there oftentimes people have a U.S. citizen sponsor.
Okay. I think these were okay. We have some more questions. If you have family in the US, residing in the US, would that be a hindrance in my F1 visa approval?
Not necessarily. Um, I have. It can go one way or another. I mean, oftentimes it makes sense to go study near where you have family. But please, just be honest on your DS-160 on your application and state that you have family. And if the visa officer asks you about it, just be honest that you have family there. A lot of Pakistani people have a family in the United States. In fact, we assume almost everyone does because most do.
Thank you. If I have a valid B1 and B2 visa stamped on my passport. If I apply for an F1 visa and it gets rejected, would my B1 and B2 visa be canceled as well?
Usually we do not cancel a B1, B2 unless there's some reason to do so.
Yeah. I think that was pretty much it for all the questions. Thank you so much, students, for joining us today. And thank you so much, Kanya, for taking the time out from your schedule and speaking to our students today. It was indeed very helpful. Thank you so much for joining us today, and you guys have a good day. Bye, Tanya.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.